Dan, did you just hit your tooth again on the glass?
I did.
Are you okay?
These thick rims.
Like, I'm worried about your teeth now that you're turning 19. We're going to have to get braces for you soon, buddy.
So is there some kind of disorder where people need to eat glass?
This week, we sample through a wide array of Oktoberfest beers with Matthew Moldenhauer from Old Irving Brewing. This is episode 90 of The Malting Hour.
Welcome to The Malting Hour. I am one of your hosts, Tony Golick, joined always with...
Brandon Winninger.
And joining us again...
Danny Polly.
And special guest. Well, the guest who we brought on is...
Matthew Moldenhauer.
And Matt, how would people know you?
I guess they may. How would they know me?
Actually, that's a terrible... Well, let me rephrase that. Matt, who are you... Who would you say... Okay, where do you work? How's that? Where do you work?
I work with Old Irving Brewing, dealing with mostly business and operations and filling in the gaps to make sure good beer is everywhere that you can find it.
Perfect. That was the... See, I'm sorry I kind of misled that question. Like, how would people know you? That you could have said anything at that point.
What would you say
as a husband and a partner.
What does your tombstone say?
If you were to die today, what would your tombstone say?
Here lies Matthew, but maybe it's the next grave over.
I like that. That's actually really good. So, anybody listening, you might recognize Matt. By the way, I like that you said "Here lies Matthew." Your full name. So, on your tombstone is going to be your full name, Matthew.
Well, it's always been Matthew.
I mean, we call you Matt, though.
Well,
why?
I never introduced myself as Matt.
Shit, that's weird. Interesting. We just shortened it.
I thought you guys were close.
We are close. I'm close enough to call him Matt to change his name without his permission.
What I never really tell people is, they're like, "Oh, do you prefer Matt or Matthew?" And I'm like, I'm never offended by either one. But growing up in the 80s, grew up in a class with like 10 other Matts, grew up with another Matt K, last name changed. And so, don't even remember what the movie was. It was some hockey movie. And was watching it with my dad, and they said, all I remember is there was a line where someone's like, "Oh, hey, your name's Matt," and he goes, "My name's not Matt. Matt's someone that you walk all over."
It's got to be Slapshot. That is 100% Slapshot. Where's fucking Ron when I need him? Because Ron would definitely have that. Well, sorry, Matthew. I didn't realize that I fucked up and just started calling you Matt. But some of you might remember Matt from was it fucking first episode of this year or the very last episode of last year where we actually you contacted us. We got in contact with you. We got together and we did the Old Irving episode where we didn't have to talk and we had Trevor just leading the way, which is one of my favorite episodes of all time, honestly, because Trevor's such a great storyteller. And it was so great just to sit there and listen and not have to. It was the easiest episode to edit.
Oh yeah, if you ever just need a monologue.
We got to get Trevor back on. I can't wait to do it. But thanks for joining us again. We've been talking about having you back on, and we hung out a couple times since we did that episode, and we have come to discover that I know that Brandon, you also like it, but you and I talked about it, our mutual affinity for Oktoberfest beers. And what better time to do an Oktoberfest beer than 2 weeks before Oktoberfest? Because then it gives people the chance to go and find these beers. Like, I think we should do the Halloween pumpkin beer episode next week, because they'll all be off the shelves and it'll just be Christmas beers, because they've been sitting on the shelves now since August, right? I mean, that's like... What the fuck? Why are we still doing that? Why are we still putting pumpkin beers out in August?
Or from last year.
No, we still have an episode planned for that. So,
well, I don't know if I talked about this on the episode, but the one thing I saw on Facebook, it was a video like somebody explained it, and it makes perfect sense. So when you're dealing with retailers, the key is getting that location space, like that prime spot of your beer. So when you're talking about moving into a new type of beer, Oktoberfest or whatever, the first one to get that prime spot usually gets it throughout the season, and then everyone else gets put on the shelf, and then they suddenly have no more shelf space. So if you come in September and you say, "Oh, we just brewed our Oktoberfest, we're ready for your shelves," and they're going to say, "We don't have room for you, buddy," and then you're going to be selling that shit in December.
I'll still drink it.
Oh yeah, so would I.
Pumpkin beers are another thing. I'm not gonna fucking.
I still, and I'm holding on to it. I have my cinnamon Prost that I will be actually, when the new one comes out this year, hopefully it comes out again, we'll definitely be pairing it with that. It's like, we're done with that beer.
Yeah, you can do the lab testing with me. I try to age some of our beers and taste them. I've never done that with Cinnamon Pros.
We will gladly come and lab test whatever you want.
It's in that fridge right in front of me.
And there's another one in there too. So I have
So you've
two.
got two sitting around.
Yeah. So if you ever need us to, I don't know, lick the barrels or anything like that, yeah.
We're your guys. So, with that being said, we are sipping on Old Irving's Oktoberfest. Now, Matthew, you would have the best background on this, insight as far as what this beer is all about. Why don't you lay it on us?
Yeah, so this is one of Trevor's babies. It was brewed for our anniversary, which is also coming up on the 24th here.
Happy anniversary. What anniversary is this?
This is our 6th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Almost old enough to drink.
That seems crazy.
So yeah, what's really kind of crazy about 6th anniversary and thinking about it is when Trevor was originally coming up with the concept and he wanted to do the brew pub. 6 years ago is when we opened, but when he started the concept, there was only 2 brew pubs in Chicago. There's now 50?
Yeah, it's an obnoxious number of brew pubs.
It's kind of crazy, and it's at that point where, especially the neighborhood, you guys are around. The neighborhood's been great, and there was actually 3 or 4 different breweries who looked at our space and didn't want it.
That's so wild to me because it's the perfect spot. Anybody who hasn't been, whether you're in Chicago or Chicagoland area or you're coming to Chicago, definitely go to Old Irving. You'll understand what we're talking about. It's a great. Just go to their Instagram. You can see a bunch.
Yeah, and the neighborhood people are great, and they're the ones we've told it many times that have kept us going during the pandemic. Where first day we shut down, people were just coming, getting cases of beer, and just walking. Trevor had one guy who apparently came up in this survival Winnebago, just straight out of the woods. It was I need as much beer as you can load me up with. Bought ridiculous amount of beer, and he's I'll see you in a couple months.
Cool. Man, that guy knew how to survive the pandemic. He was prepared. I like this guy. We got to get him on the show.
I'd like to think that he didn't know there was a pandemic.
He's just hey man, I'm just here. Hey man, I think we know this guy.
It's Saturday. I need some beer.
I'll see you in a couple months. So that's wild. So tell us about this particular beer, the
Yes.
Oktoberfest beer that we are drinking that I have now completed.
Yeah, I think
I have
I'll name
tasting
the-
notes. Yeah, we will. Brandon might be the only one who has a significant amount left, so we got that going for us.
Yeah, it's honestly one of our favorite beers, and I think every year it's gotten better, even since last year, and I loved it. I think one of the main things that differentiates it from a lot is just honestly the time that it takes, not just in building the recipe and making sure that you're using great ingredients and taking time and attention to it. And you guys have done home brewing, especially with lagers. You have to really babysit that beer.
Yeah.
But this was in tanks until the time we canned it, 12 weeks, which that time in tanks really just helps clarify lagers, clean it up, and just turns it into a tasty beer.
Dan and Brandon have both lifted their glasses once they said,
Yeah, and I love the look on this and that
Yeah.
golden hue. We don't filter it. We don't centrifuge. And again, you get some of that clarity off a lager only from proper amount of lagering time.
So we started drinking this before we started recording, and because we were waiting for Dan again. Okay.
That's what I do.
Yeah, well, you deduct and pay. And I told you that, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. And if there's a beer from Old Irving, don't blow into the mic. It sounds awful. I don't even have the headphones on. I know how bad it sounds. I know how bad it's going to sound when I go to edit.
You have to go back and edit things.
But great effect. This might be one of the most, I think, approachable local Oktoberfest beers. And I say that only because I feel like Sam Adams, to me, when I think Oktoberfest, the first Oktoberfest beer that I had that I really loved, and I will probably buy a case of Sam Adams Oktoberfest because I do really like it.
I did also almost grab Sam Adams.
I did almost as well, and I really do like that. That to me is like I just like Sam Adams beers for the most part. But Oktoberfest to me is always, like I said, that's the real end of summer for me. That is like the beginning of football. If you guys listen to the football episode, I mean, I'm surprised we didn't have Oktoberfest, right? We talked about that. But this beer in particular is very approachable. It hits all the notes that I want. The kind of breadiness, the kind of sweetness, maltiness, without it being like, and we'll probably see it in some of these beers, the different approaches to the Marzen Oktoberfest. Like you can take these different elements and kind of lean on them a little bit more. This to me, I think, is very approachable where you brought a 4-pack, I know we're done with it, but had I purchased this 4-pack and it's a Friday or Saturday night, I'm probably drinking 3 of these. Like if I had nothing going on, like, and I'm not drinking any other beer, I'm like, yeah, I could probably knock out 3 16-ounce cans of these in the sitting. What's the ABV on this, Brandon?
6 of them.
Fuck.
No, 5.5.
5.5. And
Yeah.
what kind of monster are you? You buy a 4-pack, drink 3, and leave 1?
Yeah, I gotta save it for tomorrow. Come back around. Like Sunday, it's like, well, we're gonna have 1 for the night,
That's what he wakes up for. Yeah,
That's when I wake up.
dust off the hangover.
Hey, Brandon and I drank a lot last Saturday. It was great until I woke up noon on Sunday. Whew, I
Right
did.
in time for
that
football.
much.
You're training.
Well, I mean, I didn't watch any of it. I had to go to a graduation party.
I didn't feel like it was that much, but it was a night where I did end up getting bocce pizzas. So.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I did not. So my wife and I had a late lunch, so I didn't even have dinner that night, and I didn't even think about it. And then we were just like going. We had a prop. We had wheat wine. We had that the Arrow root whatever. We had a peanut butter no bake Krampus.
I saw the picture of that.
We had Snow Fort from Off Color. We also had
Some Coors
Banquet. We also had some Hot Butcher on a roll, which I did not.
Is that a cinnamon?
Yeah,
roll?
that to me that was a lot. That was a lot of cinnamon, and I love cinnamon. It was a lot of fucking cinnamon, from all I remember. And then Kevin and I ended off with my cousin ended off with a High Noon. A giant can of High Noon pineapple vodka soda. So that's why I felt like shit in the morning.
Why not?
My wife had Taco Bell, so there it is. Big spoiler right there. She hates Taco Bell. Yeah, this beer is really good, and I think this is a good representation of the style. Especially, like I said, I think if it's an approachable one, and not that Oktoberfests aren't approachable, but this is an easy one to like give to someone and be like, oh, all I have in my refrigerator is this. You'll like it. Most beer drinkers, almost all beer drinkers, I think, would like this.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one of the big things, and as we start drinking some of the others, they're kind of like Mexican food to me, in that they're all going to be good, and so you start getting nitpicky. But one of the main things that I feel like distinguishes is very small differences, and I think with this, like, you get the maltiness, but it's still crisp and clean, which is what you need from the lager. And a couple of the ones that I've already been drinking, I'll enjoy them, but every aspect of that, the malt and the hops, it just all kind of blends into one big delicious beer. But sometimes you like having that, you finish that sip and it's finished, so that by the time you're putting the pint down, you're just wanting to put it right up to your lips.
Yeah, that's how I feel about this one. Brandon, Dan, how do you guys feel about this? Don't hold back. Matthew won't care. He told me.
Go ahead, Dan.
So I really like it. I think that I'll take 2 seconds to tell you what Tony took 10 minutes to tell you, but it's really, really balanced.
Man,
And this is like textbook Marzen. Like if somebody was like, "What's a Marzen?" Like I would be like, "Oh, try this." Like this is, you get a little bit of sweetness, you get a little bit of like that coppery roast to it, and the sweetness isn't too much, but then it does have like a nice, I don't know, I mean, is it Noble Hops? Is it like the Noble Hop finish? It's like a little crisp at the end.
Yeah, Hallertau Mittelfru.
Yeah.
That's what I use in mine. Ooh. Spoiler alert.
it's funny. Dan doesn't know shit about that because he's not a brewer, and this is probably his last episode. By the way, congratulations! This is episode 90. I forgot to throw that out in the beginning. This is episode 90.
I know.
Matt, thanks for making it episode 90.
How are you guys feeling? You guys told me recently that you're going to be going to GABF, and your 100th episode's coming up.
Yeah,
how are you guys feeling about that?
Wow, this is on the interview side. This is weird. You see, Dan, nobody cares what you're talking about. We are. I mean,
He's very succinct.
Me personally, like, I'm super excited. I'm trying to plan something for the 100th episode, and I need to work on it soon because we actually need to record it before we get to the 100th episode, because by the time the 100th episode comes out, I think it's January, right? But GABF is a big deal for us, Brandon. How are you feeling about all this?
I mean, it's nice going. I mean, we've obviously been there before, but going. Sue.
Oh, jeez. Can't wait to edit that out.
Yeah, but going on the media side, and the cool thing about it is that we're going to have access to 2 different sessions. So we've already discussed, like, one session is going to be like the complete working session, where we try to document as much as possible and take notes and all that kind of stuff. And then the other one will allow ourselves to have a little bit more fun with still kind of like, doing work. But yeah, it's gonna be awesome because it's gonna be 2 days of drinking, and then we leave at 6 a.m. the next Sunday morning. So it's gonna be interesting.
Are you guys doing Friday, Saturday, not Thursday?
No, yeah. So our passes are the Friday evening and then the Saturday morning, and I think there's a Saturday evening session too, right? Yeah. So we got this Friday evening, Saturday morning, which is nice because then we have Saturday afternoon free, and I've got some old coworkers that I kind of hit up, and I was like, hey, I know him and a bunch of people he knows always go, and I was like, we need to find you and interview you. He's like, cool, why don't you come to dinner with us after the session too? So we're like, all right, so we're going to this to the Rhine House. They added us to their reservation so we can hang out with them and have some German beers, I would assume, and some German food, which they do have a nice vegetarian selection that I was looking at. Sweet. And I was like, all of this sounds really good. I would do that. But yeah, so super excited. Not so much about the return flight, but everything else, groovy.
At what point do we let Dan know that the email he got was not real? that he's just paying for my flight.
I'll sneak in.
Whoopsie-daisy.
Actually, you might be able to. Yeah, so we were excited about all that. So yeah, but I can't believe we made it to 90 episodes. So, and I think Oktoberfest is the perfect episode to be at 90. Speaking of which, all of our glasses are empty. Let's move on to beer number 2. And Mateo, since you are the guest and you brought pretty much all the beers, grab something. I also have a beer that I brought as well that we can open. But what do we got?
Well, we're going with one of my personal favorites.
I'm excited.
Ayinger.
Hey.
Younger.
And there's Brandon completing my sentence 90 episodes later. Now, overall, it is like 120 something because of the after the final pours. But full episodes, we're coming up on 100. We still have a pumpkin beer episode to do again. That's dumb.
Sold out, man. Thought this
Another Christmas beer episode. I'd like to do. I wish there was like a. We really have to get to a Thanksgiving beer episode where it's like not just randomly thrown together like last year's.
I was going to say, did we do that? But yeah.
We did. Actually, it was
randomly thrown together.
It was Thanksgiving with Revolution is what we did. Oh, geez, sorry, everybody. We did
Clank.
Eugene, peanut butter Eugene, and the cranberry
Orange.
Yep. Freedom, which was fucking awesome. Yeah, that is a Thanksgiving beer. Peanut butter Eugene, we left that for dessert. Anyways, let's get into this, which I know that I have had. Don't know when I've had it, but this is.
It should be every year.
Yeah, well, it's not, man. Sorry.
No, this is. It made me sad, a little bit sad when I used to live out in San Diego. In Chicago, when this drops, it sells out immediately in Chicago, wherever you are. And the first year I moved to San Diego, it was right around Oktoberfest time. I was at a Trader Joe's, turned the corner, see a 4-pack, and just like picked up 2. Went to the cashier and I was like, how long are you guys going to have this? And they're like, I don't know, no one buys this.
That's insane.
How is that even possible? Like, nobody buys it.
This does really embody like what you think of for a traditional Marzen, right? Let's not beat around the bush here.
Yeah, I love this. This has just a touch more sweetness than ours. You get a little bit of that toffee note, but it has all of those markers. It's crisp and it's clean, and I don't want to put this beer down ever. You guys can talk. I'll just keep drinking.
Yeah, that's what we do. Shut up, guest. This is definitely more for me on the sweeter side, which I do kind of like put into the Marzen as far as, like one of the main descriptors, like that toffee and sweetness. This I feel like is on the sweeter side. But there's also, do you know what hops they use? Does anybody know what hops they use in this? Because I feel, not that it's like hoppier, but it's definitely like, it's a bigger burst of a noble hop. It's got to be.
No, I don't know offhand on this one.
I don't see anything.
I don't think it's
on the bottle. If only Clark was here too.
Yeah, Clark would have looked it up. Well, Clark's got a sore throat. Can't make it. Sorry, Clark. Hope it's not COVID for the 20th time. This is... I can see why. I mean, again, it's not one that I always go after because I know I've had it at some point, but I don't think it registered in my head like, oh, hey, this is what it is. I can see why it's one that you definitely go after. Brandon, what do you think of this?
So I agree with everything that you said.
About Clark needing to be here.
Yeah. And the sweetness for me, I think it's not bordering on too sweet. It's just bordering on, it's like just enough to where it would almost be too much, but it keeps me like wanting to drink it. Like comparing it to the Old Irving, like the mouthfeel, and this is just my personal, it seems a little lighter. But I like the mouthfeel of like the Old Irving. I love that big, bold mouthfeel. This one's kind of a little silkier to me. And the carbonation, I don't know, it's really light on the carbonation, which I think kind of adds well to this beer. It's a slight tartness I'm getting at the end. But overall, like I'm almost certain that I've had this before as well. And I think I've actually, when I was in Munich, was at the Anger Brewery and had a bunch of beers there. This was not one of them because this was like April when I was there. But I mean, I don't think I've ever had a bad beer from them. So this just continues their tradition of making really fantastic beers.
Dan.
All right, so
Here comes Dan.
I'm gonna have to be the black sheep here. I prefer the Old Irving one. This one, the sweetness, it comes through as like syrupy for me.
Okay.
On the mouthfeel. Maybe that's the silkiness you were talking about.
I can see what you're getting.
Yeah, I don't love that sensation. And it's 6%, I think I saw.
It's 5 point anything.
It's not a sensation. It's a feeling.
Yeah, I just saw.
It's right there.
5.8. Yeah, so it's 0.3%.
Yeah.
I was making sure you were right.
Really, am I not right?
And your old eyes.
Okay, that's
anyways. So I feel like it tastes like boozier without having like a burn. Like the syrupiness makes it taste like boozier to me, or I'm perceiving it, than the Old Irving. I would just prefer the Old Irving one over this.
To me, it doesn't taste like an
Not a competition.
I feel like it's to me, like tasting it it doesn't taste like an American beer.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's what you're, and I'm not trying to like dumb down what you're saying at all, but I feel like that is like something if you were to pour this for somebody, like this is clearly not an American
There
beer.
is a cleanness to it that you don't get from most American beers, and I feel like that is a traditional like German thing. Like,
You're saying a clean, cleanness from
yeah,
this? Okay.
like it just drinks really clean, and like it's more than likely unfiltered, but it's so smooth and like drinks really easily, and like I don't feel like. I think I've told this story before. Like when I was in Munich and we just went around just drinking German beers all day, like you didn't feel like shit at the end of the day. You didn't have a hangover. Like you didn't, like in my wife, she usually could do like one beer and she's like had enough, but she had like 2 or 3 like liters, like, and I was impressed. And then, and she was trying to keep up with the 16-year-old kids that were next to us, like,
getting shit faced.
yeah, dude. And the kid was talking about Trump and how Trump was the best thing in the world, and I was like, where did this kid come from? But he was like this German kid. He's like, oh, you're here. You like Trump? We're like, what, dude? Like, we're not here for politics, man. We're here for beer. And Yeah, so it's just that same thing, and like I remember being at Anger and like having that cleanliness that kind of comes through. Not saying that like American beer is bad or dirty, but maybe it's like the German purity law kind of permeates through or something. I don't know. It's good though.
Bring Sam Adams back up then.
Yeah.
No, but I think that honestly goes back to that proper amount of time in tank. I mean, even us, like Meritzen is brewing in March. We didn't brew ours in March, and we're still one of the longest.
Yeah.
The only brewery I know locally, which I can't wait till theirs is out, is Goldfinger. They brewed theirs back in March and lagering for 6 months.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Is it out yet?
Yeah.
No, they're doing it for their anniversary, which apparently is our anniversary, which is September 24th.
If you guys
Which
don't know,
they're not releasing their Oktoberfest until
like actual
Oktoberfest, and they're gonna go through so much beer.
That's pretty awesome.
Gotta go get some. Dan's got something to say.
Well, I was just looking. So I wanted to say that it tasted old to me, like the hops, for some reason. So I was looking to see if I could figure out what the bottling code was, because it says L2033. So 2 is apparently the year. So it's 2022, and it's bottled on the 33rd day of the year. So that would mean it was bottled in February.
Really?
Apparently, I mean, if Reddit is correct, and people on here are saying that that's the way you read the bottle codes.
Reddit. But that's not. But that. I mean, I don't know. If it was bottled back then, and it's a.
I don't know why you would do that in January,
or why they would
I guess
bottle
they would brew it in like October and lager it until January.
No, it's you brew it in March and you lager it until. I mean, well, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the brew date or the bottle date. I would assume it's the bottle date.
Probably the bottle date. Dan, we get it. You hate this beer.
I didn't enjoy it. I was trying to figure out why I didn't enjoy it, which is why I was.
So it might be
going
old.
down that rabbit hole. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I felt like there was. I want to know what hops is in it because I felt like, and maybe you're right. Maybe it is an older bottle. Not sure. But overall, I don't dislike this beer. If I had to rate this out of 5 pretzels, I would have given this 3.75 pretzels. Brandon?
I'm with you. Probably closer to 4, just because I enjoy it.
Dan?
If you guys are going 3.75, I have to go like a 3.25.
You don't have to do anything. You do what you want to do.
I
That's
know.
the part of like the show.
You guys are setting the bar. You're the
I'm
leader
not saying
or
the bar.
something.
No. We're not, we lead nothing other than Brandon and I talk first. That's it. And we decide on who is on the show. Wait, yeah, we got leaders. All right, so 3.25.
Yeah.
Matt, where are you going with this one?
Well, I guess if we're playing the untapped rules, I'm giving it a 5 to make sure I cancel out your 3.25.
Damn right, 5 fucking pretzels. I love it. All right, so that's we didn't rate the Old Irving, but I'm pretty sure we're on the same page of the Old Irving. That's probably like for me, it's like 5 pretzels.
Can I see the bottle for this one?
I'm not just saying that because you're here, Matt, but that is 5 pretzels for me. Like that is honestly the Old Irving Oktoberfest is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Brandon, I have to think at this point, even though we're only 2 beers in, we've got to be at a half hour now of recording. Am I correct?
A little bit over.
What do you guys think? Do we have another beer first, or do we take a break and then just drink a bunch of beers afterward?
Doesn't matter to me.
We're also not holding to drink all of the beers, just so you guys know.
We're drinking all the beers. We're taking a break right now. We'll be right back.
And we're back.
We're back. This is a nice quick break. All right, so moving on. I feel like we've been hanging out a lot longer than we have been recording. I feel like it's just been a lot of drinking, but we haven't. We've only drank 2 beers. We are now moving on to the one that I brought that I've never tried before. I'm a big fan of Hocker Shore. I've told my story about Hocker Shore, and I don't think I've ever had their Oktoberfest. I just recently had their Munich Gold that was on sale at my local grocery store, 4-pack for $8, and I tried it, and I said, well, this is actually very nice, and this tastes like a German beer. That's all I can think of it. Like, I've never really had maybe a Munich Gold, so to speak. So my favorite, by the way, Hocker Shore beer is Hacker Dark, which is not sold in Chicago or Illinois. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, I've only had it in Wisconsin. everybody's always, we're all swirling our glasses around. We're all taking a look. I have an impression of my aroma. What are you guys thinking as you're swirling around and taking a sip here?
Reminds me of Heineken. Mm-hmm. Okay, so are we on the same page of why we think it is?
The aroma right off the bat smells like a skunked beer.
Yes, it is. Which the nice thing is, skunk beer and the sulfur, like if you swirl it around, you tend to not be able to detect it after a few seconds. But immediately I was like, why does this remind me of Heineken?
It smells skunked. It really does. Taste wise, Dan, going off your description of the last beer we had, I feel like this is a less offensive version of it.
Yeah. That was pretty much what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's got the syrupiness, but not nearly as bad as the last one. It's somewhere. It's in between the first two. The hops, I feel like, come through more at the end than the other one.
Which is surprising because...
It's not as punchy.
Yeah, but I wasn't expecting the hoppiness, especially from Hacker Shore, to like this for their Oktoberfest. This is weird for me. This is...
Yeah, I do.
There's like a biscuitiness to it, when you almost like a tea type taste, like flavor too, like biscuits. Like it goes. For me, it goes like this. Reggie, Jay. Oh no, that's right. That's Eminem. It goes like that weird hoppiness, like that pungent Heineken, like skunky, bad hops, to then a little biscuity sweetness, then tea. Then it's like, oh, there's an Oktoberfest beer underneath all that.
Are we talking American biscuits or like British?
I'm talking to the adults, Dan. That's what I'm doing. I'm not. I didn't make eye contact with you once until I said Eminem. Hip hops. What do you, Brandon? What do you think about this?
I do like it, but I do agree with kind of like the skunkiness of it, and it's surprising coming from a Hacker Shore because I don't know if I've ever had anything that kind of came off like this. What I tried to look, it's got the same like weird bottle code, and I tried to do a quick search and couldn't find anything on.
God damn it, Clark!
But yeah, it's got that Heineken aroma, and while it's sweet, I feel like the sweetness is kind of covering up like just some lack of maltiness. I feel like it's missing something for me, because then like kind of like you said at the end, you kind of get that Oktoberfest, and I'm kind of feeling that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm indifferent, and I'm so shocked because I thought I was really good at like enjoy this as much as I did the anger.
I've got 5 bottles of this left in my refrigerator. Now I got to pawn them off on people at my Halloween party.
So it looks like their coating is a Best Buy coating, and this is saying Best Buy March 2023.
Okay.
Yikes.
Yeah, so maybe also that might be a year-old Anger, if that's the same coating.
I don't know. I feel like... I don't know. Matt, how are you feeling about this? I know we started this off with you saying, exactly what we all thought. It smells like Heineken.
Yeah, I mean, I get... After the initial nose, for me it actually has a little bit more of that sweetness, honey, like right on the back end.
I just took the last sip, like, because we're splitting this 11.5 ounce bottle, and that last sip, as you're saying that, like that almost that skunkiness is gone. It's almost like up front is that skunkiness, and then I've worked my way through it, and now it's like honey.
Well, and as I said, the good thing if you're ever, same thing, if you're outside on a clear glass on a sunny day, your beer can get skunked in the glass. The good thing is you can't normally detect it after about 10 seconds because you acclimate to it immediately. So
I feel like that's what's happened with me now.
Yeah.
Now I don't. I feel like if cracking this open, had I poured it for myself, like smelled it and be like, oof, and then taking those first couple of sips and then gone through it and been like, oh, actually, it's quite.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, it's like it's not terrible. Like,
What's
but
the
it's
ABV on that one?
what's up?
It's the same 5.8.
Okay.
yeah.
5.8.
And I think to what you were saying, I get more of the little bit more body and sweetness on the Anger, but for me, I get a little bit more of that sweet aroma on this one. Yeah, I think I wanted more because I really like Hacker Shore.
Yeah.
But especially if it's not skunked, which really isn't their fault, except for maybe everyone just needs to go to cans.
Yeah. Imagine that.
It's
I mean, the bottle looks cool. I'm not gonna lie. I do like the label. But,
Oh, yeah.
Little bottle.
Oh, I've fought that battle many times trying to get bottles back in some ways. But
Cans are great. Geez, Dan, everybody heard that. Fucking chipped your tooth on that one. Brandon, how many pretzels are you giving Hocker Shore's Oktoberfest Marzen?
I think at this one I'm going to go 325.
325 pretzels. Nice. Matt, how many pretzels would you give this one?
I think about the same. If it wasn't skunked, I think it would probably get up to like a 3.5, 3.75. I think I would enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, Danny boy.
I'm going to go 3.5. I like this more than the anger.
Ooh, interesting. I am going to go 3-4. If we're going to just switch
Son
that
of a
there.
bitch.
Yeah, 3-4. There we go. Price is right, bitches. It's not terrible. It's not great. But I don't think I'll have a heart. Like, I'm not going to drink through these right away, but I feel like as we are approaching football season and I go back to my fridge, I go, maybe we're at the second quarter or third quarter
I
of
would
football.
not have a hard time drinking this again.
No, like I think it's one of those beers like, oh shit, that's right. I'll go back and have the Hacker Shore Oktoberfest beer. So yeah, not terrible, but I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. Brandon, what did you just grab from Matt's bag?
So now we are going into the Buckle Down Brewing's Oktoberfest German style lager.
Which I think I have had in the past. I've had more Buckle Down beers than I realized. I've been to a couple of festivals. Actually, there's a Meals on Wheels festival coming up. I'll have to get that information to plug it. But there's a lot of breweries involved with that, which I don't know if Old Irving is ever involved with it. But a lot of local breweries that was at Talia Hall at one point. I don't know if they're still doing it. But Buckle Down was there. That was my first time being introduced to them. And then I think I had this one in particular last year. You guys start talking about it while I'm pouring. Cue the hosts.
The aroma right off
Thanks,
the bat
Matt.
has...
You're now a part of the team. You're replacing Clark. You guys, I just poured all.
I was going to say, I think there's a lot.
Shit.
I think this is the first one that I've had so far. It reminds me of a lot of lagers where, and lagers in general, especially when you first start fermenting, are very sulfury. It gives me a little bit of like sulfur right on the nose.
A little bit. I kind of get that.
I don't get that, but I'm also, my senses, as we've talked about many times, my senses are different than everybody else's on this fucking show.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that, and then I'm getting some biscuitiness coming through, and then I can, and I think it's been
Okay.
kind of coming through on some of the other ones, but I can smell the sweetness. Like you can smell that it's going to be sweet, and then it's almost like honey-esque. And then taking a sip, I'm almost feeling like I'm getting a little bit of honey sweetness. Like that's what I'm getting from the sweetness. The malt body, again, kind of going back, it's very light. It's lighter, I feel. But I do feel like it's super clean. Like, I mean, although it doesn't look super clean, but it drinks really easy, and the carbonation is like spot on. I mean, just going off the bat, I enjoy this one. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna finish it and give it think of what my rating would be, but I'm digging it.
I agree. There are certain beers like amber beers and Oktoberfest beers give me like I'm putting my air quotes up, tea-like taste and aroma, and I don't know if that's just a descriptor I can come up with, and I'm sure there's a better way to describe it. But
you mean like a black tea, or what are you saying?
No, but I know exactly
Lipton?
what you're saying.
yeah, kind of like iced tea type, the wrapper.
It tastes like iced tea, the wrapper.
If you dipped them in hot water,
I am no longer water. I am iced tea. No, okay.
Yes.
That is, the aroma is kind of like a honey tea.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm getting from it. There's not
Yeah.
that, and it could also be because we just had that Hocker Shore that was like super pungent, so my nose might be super sensitive. But it's what I like about amber beers, and I think that's what I like about Oktoberfest too, is that little bit of malty breadiness also kind of like maybe that mix of the sweetness. My brain associates it with like a tea with a little bit of honey in it.
What's crazy though that you said that, and I took a sip, and I'm like, and I literally was just focusing on tea, and I'm like, fucking Lipton's.
Yeah,
Like Lipton's with
but I don't
with
want
honey.
to. But I don't want to take away.
Not in a bad way.
Yeah, I'm not taking
No,
away
not
from
in
the
a
beer.
bad
Like,
way.
if anything, this to me is
It's very approachable.
a lighter version of, in a good, like, not in a negative way on either side, a lighter version of what we had for the Old Irving Oktoberfest. Like, this is also another very approachable Oktoberfest beer. There's differences, there's different nuances to it, but if these two were in front of me, it's like, oh fuck, I can go back and forth between those two beers. Like, it's not. This is definitely a easy drinking Oktoberfest beer. I really like it. I think it's really nice.
Agreed.
It looks like I have an Arnold Palmer in my glass.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, so this is 5.2%, so it's the lowest.
Fucking
so far.
weak, bro.
And the color on this one is more. It's got more of an orangish tint than, for example, like the Old Irving was more of like a burgundy, or like closer to a burgundy, like that darker.
Like Ron Burgundy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mahogany.
Mustache and all.
Scotch.
The I still feel like this one and the Hawker Shore both feel like they're lacking in like the punchiness of the malt character that the Old Irving had. This one's got more syrupiness than the Old Irving, but not as much as the two German beers.
But
to
it's
me.
still lighter almost though, right?
Yeah. I think it sounds weird. It's like almost like the flavor is aqueous, but it's like the body of it's not.
Yes.
Very nice.
Okay, so that's
New word on the podcast.
it's
I
a
think
good
Dan's
word.
used it before, actually.
Incubus aqueous form used to be one of my favorite songs. Anyways, do you guys
That's
get?
a great song, by the way.
I like it a lot. I can drink. You can just keep drinking this. To me, what I kind of feel like this has more than anything else is it just kind of feels really round.
Yeah.
Where
Sure.
it's the start and the finish and the middle are all kind of just the same, and
There's no journey as you're drinking it.
Yeah.
Which even like the Hawker Shore, like I said, like we all said, there's a journey as you're drinking that beer from nose to gut. You know, like this is kind of just not one note, but like you're getting everything all at once, and that's it. Which isn't a bad thing. Like again, it's another approachable like Oktoberfest beer to throw out there. To be like, hey, something you might like if it's in my fridge.
Oh, and I definitely like this one more than even other ones I've been drinking previously. Like this one, I could definitely drink a few of.
Yeah. If I had to do
and have a great night.
If I had to mix 4-pack, I mean, right now Oktoberfest and Buckle Down are ending up in it. Brandon, how many fucking pretzels are you giving this?
I'm going to go ahead and give it a solid 4.
Solid 4 pretzels, nice. With salt or no salt?
Extra salt.
Are you dipping it in mustard or cheese?
Mustard.
All right, that's a good 4 then. That is a good
Beer
4.
cheese.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Matt. That's where I was going to go with it. Dan?
Beer cheese made with this beer.
I'm gonna go. I'll go 3.6 with this one.
It's a Tony move.
Yeah.
3.6? Okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, I like it a little more than I liked the Hacker Shore. We didn't even rate the Old Irving, but that would have been like a 4 something for me.
I put that straight. I mean, I did.
I gave it a
say-
5.
I whispered
Yeah.
it a 5. Yeah. And again, Matt, it has nothing to do with you being on the show at all. Or
No
that
one's
we
gonna
like
believe
you guys. Fuck that. I don't give a fuck if nobody believes us. That is that.
It was a great starting beer too.
When we took a break, I checked it and I go, I think this is my new favorite local Oktoberfest beer. That's being honest as far as like a local Oktoberfest
it's hyper
beer.
local. So.
Super local, down the street. That's a 5. Matt, what would you give this? Pretzels. How many pretzels?
Yeah, I was between a 3.75 and a 4. Like it's definitely very drinkable.
I'm gonna pull one out. Sorry, this guy right there. That's what we're gonna try because we're going all over the place. I wanted to go with the one right next to it, but I've never had this. If I had to rate this, shut the fuck up, Dan. If I had to rate this Buckle Down, which I'm going to, I'm gonna give it a 4.15 pretzels that I'm dipping in beer cheese.
Soft or hard pretzel?
Ooh.
Soft pretzel. Yeah.
Okay, good. I was about to walk out.
Yeah, please, come on. Hard pretzels are for when I'm like dipping it into like the raspberry mustard that I got from the local apple orchard in October, which I do. Yeah, I do like it. It's very nice. I will put it up there with Dan. Why did you pass all the way that way before coming back over?
were
I was
talking.
like, there's a lot of beer in there, man.
You were talking. I didn't want to interrupt.
Always interrupt me when it's, hey Tony, pour beer in your glass. Yeah, it's a good beer. And then you guys, what are we drinking now? Can you name it while I'm pouring it from the bottle?
You can't even read it on the label. I think it says Munsterfest.
There you go. All the way from
Munster.
Yeah, the brewery,
Indiana.
Dan.
Oh, 3 Floyds.
Fuck. Jesus. One day, I swear to God, when I throw it to you, you're going to catch it. It's not going to, fall out of the glove. It's going to tip the glove and go on the ground. Then you're going to catch it. I'm going to throw it to you. You're going to catch it. It's going to be great.
So you guys have done 90 full episodes. I've only been on 9 of them.
But you've listened to them all. You should know this by now. Where are we throwing it?
You're right.
How old are you going to be in, a week? 18?
35.
This is just like the episode with Joe, where Dan couldn't answer questions because he was getting a little sloshed.
I don't think Dan's getting sloshed.
I know, but I'm
Dan's fucking tired.
Yeah.
Dan's also trying to do his best Clark job, too. He is looking shit up. Dan, all ball busting aside, you were doing a great job as Clark.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
So I will say, when I just looked this up,
Hit us with it.
when I poured it, it's a lighter, kind of like the buckle down color. And in their description this is on Untapped, but it sounds like 3 Floyds would have written it, a Marchen style fest beer. So just to throw that out there.
A Martin style fest beer.
A Martian style?
So a Martin fest beer.
And Matson.
Are we? Thank you. Are we? They. I mean, it's 3 Floyds. They're gonna fucking combine anything they want. Is that correct? Am I hearing that that? Is that what you guys took away from this? The 2 styles in one.
Well, that's even what I think the Ayinger said.
So I'll say this:
Marzen Fest beer.
This beer, right off the bat, is pretty good Oktoberfest beer.
Yeah.
It's hitting the malty sweetness without it being syrupy for me. Mm-hmm. It is sweet, but it's not overpowering. It's not thick. It's not syrupy. It's actually really fucking good.
Yeah.
I was not expecting this, and that's not a knock at 3 Floyds, but I was not expecting this to be as. I wasn't expecting to like this as much as I do.
I felt I was expecting it to be too hoppy or something over the top one way. Or
well, because that's just how
That's
3
what I was
Floyds
worried
usually
about.
is.
Yeah.
And what I like about this is I've since the last couple of weeks I've seen this almost every time I go to Jewel or Benny's or wherever I'm walking through and I see it and I keep tempted to do it and buy it, but I knew we were doing this episode, so it's I was going to hold off. I could easily buy this again. This would be for wanting a localish brewery.
Dan, did you just hit your tooth again on the glass?
I did.
Are you okay?
It's these thick rims. Thick rims.
I'm worried about your teeth now that you're turning 19. We're gonna have to get braces for you soon, buddy.
So
is there some kind of disorder where people need to eat glass? And Dan's
All jokes aside, I fucking do it
it
all
off.
the time. I do it all the time. I
just glanced at that.
Just happened to hear Dan do it twice. Sorry. I'm gonna amplify it.
I have big front teeth.
Post.
By the time 200 episode, he's gonna have a cracked tooth from knocking the glass.
Sorry, Matt. What were you about to say?
No, the one thing I'm getting most different about this, it's really light and crisp, and maybe it's just because of the beer cheese reference. For me, it's a very umami. It's more of this rich, savory kind of nose, where the others I've gotten a little bit more of that sweet and honey and toffee and biscuity. This is definitely the most savory of it, but it works.
Has anybody brewed a beer with MSG?
I'm sure somebody has.
I think so.
We actually, you bring up a good point. I would make Brandon, at some sort of football, watching around your birthday, something. We need to make a beer cheese with this beer. That would be this is there's. It's not too sweet. It's not too bitter. You're absolutely right, Matt. There's a savoriness to it that would play really well into a beer cheese dipping sauce. I'm not saying that's all this beer is good for, but fuck, that's a bonus.
No, but here's a good question. So going to Old Irving, don't they have beer cheese that you guys do?
I know that we have had. I'm also not the greatest person for all of our food because
So, Bob-
I have to avoid it. Otherwise, I would be much larger than I am.
My question, what would be awesome for
move,
like,
Matt,
the
good move.
Oktoberfest season is taking your Oktoberfest and making a beer cheese with it.
We can do an episode about that.
So go talk to your people, make it happen.
Let's do it. Veggies. Sampling. All right.
That would be delicious.
Yeah, Dan?
I was just gonna say so, and I don't know if this is power suggestion of reading the Martzen style fest beer, but it is either to me when I drink this, it's either like in between a fest beer and a Martzen to me, or it's like a pumped up fest beer, and I can't decide in my head which one it is.
That's interesting.
But it's I like it though. I'm not like saying that in a bad way.
No, and I don't know if we did it off mic or on mic about doing an actual fest beer episode, but this maybe that's why it's so approachable. Why we're all like, I mean, fest beers are different from Marzen, but you know, I mean, I don't think I've ever had like a bad fest beer either. I can't really put the. Oh, Dan's pointing something onto Matt. There's something going on. They're reading something.
Oh no! I was at Old Irving like a week ago eating, and I thought I remembered reading it, but I wanted to check. But the beer cheese is made with Della.
I knew it. I was gonna say Della. I knew it. The strawberry, right? The strawberry lemonade Della. That makes the most sense.
Yes.
A nice tart, fruity beer cheese.
I'm sorry, chef. But if you haven't had, especially you being a vegetarian, because we won Eris's vegan eruption challenge, and we decided to put his new item on the menu, which is a vegan egg roll done with.
Was it there? I don't think it was there. Maybe it was.
We've had it for a few weeks now, but then it's done instead of a normal sweet and sour sauce. It's a Valentina sweetened with agave.
So good.
When do we finally do a food episode with? I mean, with Joe, with Dry Hop and their fucking pizzas. Like we barely talked about it. I mean, Old Irving.
We killed those pizzas pretty quick.
It's funny. We are becoming really friendly with other marketing guys. I wonder why. Oh, because we're talking about the breweries. Okay. How many pretzels, Matt, on this one right here, right now?
This one's about equal to Buckle Down to me.
Okay, I like that. I agree with that. Brandon,
I'm gonna go about 4.25.
4.25. 4. Are you dipping it in anything or?
I'm going with beer cheese
Made with the beer
made with the beer
that we're gonna do.
Yeah.
All right.
4.25 for me.
Oh, Dan finally joins the ranks of going up a little higher. Way to go, man.
I call it like I see it.
Are you dipping in mustard or beer cheese?
It's always mustard. I mean, I like cheese, but I like the grainy mustard.
Stone ground. Okay.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's how we make our honey mustard at home. We use stone ground.
Humble brag.
I'm sorry, what?
We make our own honey
bread.
mustard.
Yeah, we do. It's easy, you guys. It's honey. Okay, I'm not even gonna get into it. Okay, shut up, Dan. I'm also in agreement with you guys. I think about 4.25. This is really good. We're gonna take one more quick break, and then we're gonna wrap this up. This will be the longest Oktoberfest episode we've ever done because it's our first. We'll be right back.
And we're back.
Brandon was not impressed. It wasn't terrible though.
I thought that was the sound of him realizing his job is gone.
Whoa.
Just kidding.
I thought you and Matt were gonna do it together, and we're back.
And we're back.
There we go. Now we are back.
Splice us
No
together.
shit. No, it's just Matt. I'm pouring a little on this one. Here we go. Dan, since you brought this one, baby, putting you on the spot after you tried to do the and we're back. It wasn't terrible. I did like Matt's a little bit more though.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are we? Is this? Where is this from?
So this is from Bubble House Brewing, which is in Lisle, which is about 40 minutes west of Chicago.
Sure. I don't have Google Maps in front of me, but I'll agree with that.
Somewhere around there.
Bavarian Lodge is near them. If you guys have never been to Bavarian Lodge, go there.
I've heard good things.
Great food.
Is it downtown Lisle? I think I drove by it.
Probably.
It's also near Goldfinger.
Well, shit. No, there's two reasons to go out that way.
So things are happening in Lisle, you would say.
Lisle, it's the place to be.
So this, I was going to read the description. A rich malt profile from Munich and Maris Otter malts and balancing bitterness from Northern Brewer and Hallertau hops. Nice. Beautiful lager, endless drinkability. So this, it's called, I didn't even say what the name was. It's called Get Your Festy On, and it's 5.9%, so the highest we've had.
Sorry, what's the name of the brewery again?
Bubble House. They've been around, I think he said, like 9 months. So they haven't been around that long.
So it's fairly new.
Yeah, it's a new brewery.
God, I love our state. Like, just the Chicagoland area. Like, I know, and we've talked about it before, how it's always very, like, there's, as new breweries open up, it seems like more of a welcome to the family instead of like, oh, fuck, there's competition.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know how you feel about that. That's the way I feel about it as a drinker.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
We'll keep going.
No, sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, as a new brewery opens up, like, especially in Chicago, at least, it's not it's not very like, oh fuck, there's someone else taking a piece of our pie. Instead, it's like, oh cool, there's somebody else, because a lot of the times it's like someone might know somebody who's a part of that brewery that's opening up that might have worked someplace where you used to work, and then it all just kind of is one big family as far as brewing goes.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's so much the same for the suburbs, but.
No, it's definitely gotten there, and my sales pitch has basically been, even with the sales data this past year, with craft breweries still increasing, domestic beer and macro, basically the Anheuser-Busch's, everyone in the world still own 80% of the beer. So when everyone's like, oh, aren't you fighting for this? I'm like, no, I'm trying to make it so that we're all stronger, so that we're taking a smaller piece of this giant part of the pie that's also growing, and I don't feel the need that we have to compete, and especially in Chicago and being in other states, our friends and neighbors have been great, and what they've taught us, how we learned, working with the guys over at Moore in Phase 3 and Maplewood and Larmist, and we always learn different things, and I think we make each other stronger, and so it's never been necessarily like, oh, that little space on the shelf. I think it's just more teaching the bars and restaurants that if you're going to have a domestic, there's so many good lagers and pilsners and kolsches and other beers. And some people can make really affordable beers, and a lot of consumers will drink them, regardless of being $5 for a High Life or $6 for a Della Kolsch.
That's it. That's the end of the episode. Yeah, that I think that's a sentiment we've definitely discussed on here many times. Anyways, back to beer. Sorry about that, guys. I let us on a different path there for a second. But thanks, Matt, for reiterating. That,
all right.
Yeah,
so derailing it what was really intriguing me about this, especially reading on the can and what you were saying, is the Maris Otter, and they use Northern Brewer hops. So they use a English malt and an American hop. Yeah. And it kind of all really blends and works well together to give me that Oktoberfest feeling that I'm looking for. I think and again, might just be perceived now that reading it, like I get a little bit of like a grassy bitterness on the back end. But for me as well, like the clarity, the crispness of it, like it works. I like this one a lot.
When you said like the grassy bitterness, there's almost like a, not black pepper, but like a peppery type like aftertaste that I was getting that I don't come to expect from this style. But again, like we talked about this before we started drinking, that, you know, we're gonna see different nuances and different things about these different interpretations of Oktoberfest beers. Again, this is another one that I'm like, oh man, this would be really good to drink all the time. It's not super sweet. Like that's the one thing that I don't know if it's a negative, because we've been drinking all these other beers, but that malty sweetness is not so much in the front. There is a sweetness to it, but it's a sweetness like of a standard lager, I would say.
This one more so similar to the Old Irving one. I feel like the malt is the star in this one.
Yeah,
and it's I really enjoy this one. This is the second time I've had a can of it. So. Yeah.
That was the fastest I got through one of the samples also.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree. It's super light, but I do feel like it's very malt forward. And then when I took my first sip, I could have sworn I noticed a little bit of like astringency in there, but that went away like after my second sip. So I don't know if it was just something meshing with what was already in my glass, but super easy drinking. Again, like most of the ones we've had, super clean. And like you said, describing the malts, I feel like the malts did really work well with the hops. It's not overly bitter, it's not overly sweet. This kind of falls into the realm of the well-rounded beer, I think. I would totally drink this again.
Yeah, and it wasn't there. There were different layers to it as well. Even though it was like, what's the ABV on this one? Sorry, I think you may have read it already, Dan.
I think I did, but I don't remember.
5.9.
Oh yeah, 5.9.
Wow, 5.9.
It's the highest.
Shit, that I would not have said that. I would not expect that to be 5.9. It drinks a bit lighter, almost like it's like 4.5%.
Yeah,
to me,
agreed.
Like this would be up there with the Buckle Down and Old Irving of like a beer that I can crack open for fall beer or fall football watching. I'm bringing it back to the football episode.
There
You
you
know,
I mean, it
it's
works.
the third quarter.
I mean, there's a reason we purposely didn't touch Oktoberfest beers, knowing that we wanted to do that.
I mean, I really do relate like Oktoberfest beers to because we did did a football episode.
Yeah.
Like I do relate Oktoberfest beers to the first like 3 weeks of football because I will probably buy. I mean, it'd be different this year, but like in the past, I bought like a case of Sam Adams Oktoberfest, and that was like watching football for 6 hours for the first Sunday.
Get through that case.
Celebrate someone's birthday the first Sunday. I'm busy now, so that's cool. We're celebrating Dan's birthday. He's turning 19. This is, I'm going to start this one off. I'm giving this a 4.3 pretzels. Dipping it in mustard this time. A nice, just spicy brown mustard. That's what I'm dipping it in. Dan?
I'll go. So I think I did 4.25 on the 3 Floyds. I'm gonna go 4.5 on this one.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah, and always mustard.
Always, what kind of mustard is this?
Oh, man.
Greeny or like yellow mustard, spicy brown.
Dusseldorf.
Yeah,
Dusseldorf for sure.
Get that Lohnswürth.
He only said that because Matt suggested it. Matt,
I
what?
have Dusseldorf mustard in
Shut
the
the hell up,
fridge.
Dan. You should have brought it. We should have had pretzels. This was stupid for us not to plan this. Matt, how many pretzels are you giving this one?
Definitely above 4. Sans our own beer. This has been my favorite. Maybe not the most traditional, but I think they blended everything really well.
It's an interesting approach that works, I think is a good way to put it. If I'm going to make up what I thought your thoughts were. Brandon?
Yeah, I'm going between 3.75 and 4. So.
All right, cool. Can I choose the next beer, guys?
Yes.
No.
Because this is the one that I originally wanted to buy, and I remember drinking this last year, and it was the first time that I had it. I don't know how many times they've made this, because I always suck with like when I find like a style, I'm like, oh, that's great. And it's like, yeah, we've been making this for like 5 years now. I'm like, what? That's because I was focused on only one style, and now doing the podcast, learn a little bit more and to grow with it. So this is Off Colors Oktoberfest, which is Waddle. You guys want to pour a little bit more? Sorry, I'm going to be a little stingy with that one. Dan, please pay attention to what's going on here. Thank you.
Sorry.
So, if I'm not mistaken, if Clark was here, he could tell me what I...
You rated this, sir.
Fuck yeah. Here we go. Dan.
A 4.25.
4.25.
2020.
2020. So it's been 2 years since I've had this. That sounds about right.
September
right,
2nd.
The pandemic. Do you guys remember that? COVID?
Man!
Andy?
What
This
happened?
hits everything I look for in a Martzen.
Yeah.
Great malt backbone and a subtle bitterness. This may be my new favorite Oktoberfest beer.
Oh, shit. And I gave it a 4.25. And then, guess what? OIB took over that tonight.
Oh, I thought that was Dan reading the description and then deciding this was going to be his new favorite.
No, that was my description. He did a Clark there. He pulled the Clark card right there. Thank you.
A fest beer to celebrate. Oh, this is the
Oh, okay.
one.
You're
A fest beer to celebrate the wedding of one of our favorite 20 employees. Brewed in the classic style of an Oktoberfest lager, except if you see it after October, then it's a Martzen. And it is 6.5 on Untapped. I don't know if it says on there.
So, Tony, are you ever worried
6.5.
about not just rating things on Untapped, but writing things that 5 years later you're like, I regret saying that or doing
Absolutely.
that.
Oh, we did the short
'Cause it's
beer.
come back and
yeah, it
hit
always comes back. But I also we've also come to, when we say we, I mean me. Like when Clark will read like something, he's like, oh yeah, you tried this like 5 years ago, and like you had, other than the shorts episode where everything still held up to us being like, this is weird, but we still like you shorts. We still really do. Like there was one beer I checked it in and I was like, meh, and it was like, what the fuck? How was it? Where was my brain at that point? And then Dan, I think you pointed out like it was an IPA or something.
Yeah,
like
it
at
was,
that point, it was like, well, you know,
everybody was making that style.
I think that was still the shorts. It was still the shorts episode.
Yeah.
It was their
It might have been the Huma Loombalicious.
Yeah.
But it was like
I just
everybody
said
was
meh.
making that Midwest Coast
Yeah.
IPA. Or, yeah. You know.
But then like having it this year, I was like, well, fuck, I hands down would I think I gave that like a 4 or 5 or 4 or almost 5 or something. I don't know, but I rated it very high because it was very good. Luckily, we're only 2 years out from this one. What did I give this? A 4.25?
2.5.
I stand by that. Maybe even give it like a 4 or 5. Like this to me is very well rounded. I feel like this is, if you're pushing everything to the limits in this beer, of sweetness, maltiness, a little bit of bitterness, this might be like, it's just enough where it's like not subtle. It's still kind of like pushing it a little further.
Yeah. It's a little more pumped up.
Yeah, a little more pumped up without it being over the top.
Yeah.
So I do like that. If it's almost like a amped up version. Like I wouldn't sit around and drink these all day long as much as like the Buckle Down or the Bubble House or Old Irving. This one I would have and be like, oh, you guys want to split a fucking, Oktoberfest beer that's a little sweeter, a little maltier, but it still hits everything that I do want in this. I still really do like this, and I think it's a fantastic.
Full disclosure,
Their malt
I had
bill
this.
is pretty close to my Oktoberfest. I think I'm off.
Oh, yeah,
That's why I
read
heard
the special ingredient on there. What's the
I think
ingredient
it's,
say?
I think it's love.
Germans.
Secret techniques, step infusion, and polka lagering.
Yeah.
Step.
Fuck yeah.
They have German step in it.
Just like
And then
the
play
theme
polka.
song for this episode.
So I called Tony's check-in out. I had this in November 2017.
What?
And I gave it a 3.75 at the Mousetrap. I think I remember this being really syrupy when I had it, which it's not now.
No, well, for me it actually goes, definitely not syrupy. I'm getting a little bit of an ashiness, which
Sure.
I hear a lot of people describing certain beers as ashy, which I've never really gotten. And again, I like how different so many of these have been, but this one actually has like a little bit of that drying quality in like my cheeks.
More so than any of the more so than any of the other ones.
Yeah.
None of them have done that.
No. And maybe that's just something that like stands out to me that maybe brings out the other flavors because it's drying out. That maybe like my mouth and my brain is like, oh, you're tasting this a little bit more because it's drying out everything in the entire.
What's interesting though is, so I love like the full bodiness of like a lot of the other ones that we've had and how like, we've talked about how they're rounded, but there's something about that dryness that comes through that I enjoy. Like it makes it a pleasant drinking experience because it adds another level to the flavor experience. So I'm getting the sweet, I'm getting the malt, you're getting a little bit of hop, but then like that dryness just kind of it like comes in the end, and it's like, oh, like drinking like a dry wine or something like that, where you just feel it, like you said, like feel it in your cheeks, and it's not like super like present. It's just a little bit subtle, and I think it just to me it elevates this a little bit.
I also really like the color of it. I just
Yeah.
want to throw that out there. Like it is that like that's there's amber beers that almost like teeter more on like a red ale or like a brown ale. This to me is like the amber that you see in Jurassic Park, where the mosquito is wrapped in the amber. Which I've watched a thing on TikTok recently that is a specific elephant mosquito that would not have been the mosquito that they would have gotten DNA from dinosaurs from.
Damn.
Just gonna throw it out there. So debunked, Spielbergo.
All right, so what SRM is this? Homebrewer?
And I don't know that. I've got the SRM fucking wheel on my refrigerator in the basement. I can't give you the SRM on it. I don't know, Matt. What's the SRM?
plead the fifth. It was a trap for you. It's a trap.
Son of a bitch.
So this one for me, I just want to say, so it's weird. It's not syrupy like the two German beers at all, or the Buckle Down's a little syrupy. This one is really hefty though. Like I feel like this is like maybe a one and done versus like you were saying the Old Irving or the Bubble House. I could drink like a few of. This one's a little heftier. I get more of, and this is probably from Matthew over here saying the umami character in the other one. But the like roastiness, it feels like there's more roasted malt used in it, and so like I get more of like a savoriness to this one. I really, really like it, but it is like I couldn't drink like a ton of these.
Yeah, it is a one and done, and maybe if you opened up another one, you're splitting it with somebody else because you want to have just a little bit more. Dan, how many pretzels are you giving this?
So just out of the context of enjoying it for one of one, I'm going to go for 6. Just a little more than a Bubble House just because of the uniqueness. But I mean, if I was having like a few, I'd pick the Bubble House over this, but this is definitely above the Three Floyds, above the Bubble House in like a one solo experience, but Bubble House is like right there for me.
And if I'm not mistaken, this like 4-pack is like maybe $10.99 or $11.99. So for a beer that you're gonna like have one and then come back to like a day or two later, I feel like that's a money well spent. Matt, how many pretzels?
I'd say 4. It's right around the Bubble House for me.
Yeah.
But now that you're talking about pricing, how much are normally the other 4? Not that we have to get into specifics. I didn't realize they really got above that. Like I think ours will be about $10.99 at.
Might be. I mean, I could be totally wrong. It's probably be, I would say, depending on where you go, it's between $9.99 and $11.99. But I also feel like because of the heftiness of it, you know, like of the way that you feel, like between you and
Ooh,
what do I got? Oh shit!
I was saying we talked about the ABV on all the rest. That's why 6.5.
Ooh.
So there we go. So maybe that's why we're all feeling like you have a little bit, like you can have one and be good. Like that's an Oktoberfest beer where it's like you might end the night with. Where it's like you're drinking a whole bunch of the Old Irvings or the Buckle Downs.
$10.99 for the Waddle.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that makes sense. So the heftiness of it still, it's like, again, say you're drinking, you know, you're having an Oktoberfest party. There's pretzels. There's bratwurst. You know, you guys are all you're all sitting around. You're like, oh, we're not German, just like St. Patrick's Day, but we're gonna fucking celebrate this anyway. And then you're drinking all these Old Irvings. Like we're gonna end the night with something big. What is it? Waddle.
I do love the
Tom Waddle shows up and he's
Also
like,
$10.99 for the Old Irving Oktoberfest at Binny's.
So like I said, buy
Which
both
is sold
of them.
out at my local Binny's.
it
only came out this week.
The label,
Guess I have to just go to fucking Old Irving.
Their first run is probably done.
It's the worst week of my life.
The label on the Waddle is a walrus playing the accordion and some drunk penguins and a mouse playing the tuba. So that scores some points also.
Yeah, I want to put that on my beer fridge in the basement. Same with the Old Irving. No, I'm buying both of them. We don't have to save these cans. Brandon, pretzels. How many? What do you like?
I'm going 4 pretzels.
4 pretzels. I'm sticking by what I said, which I think was like 4 to 5. Yeah, it's still there. It's really good. It is like it's right there with Old Irving for like my favorite local Oktoberfest beers. Buckle Down is also very good. I know I rated it maybe a little higher, but the Waddle one, man, I mean, you know, more oomph. You know what I mean? This is like the end of the night beer, the end of the night Oktoberfest you want to have. We got time for another one, and there's 2
Or
in the
two.
bag. There's 2 in the bag. There's 2 in the bag. Let's do this. We got this. This is gonna be the best Oktoberfest episode ever because Clark has a sore throat. Clark was going to bring Temperance's Oktoberfest, which Matt, you and I both said we did not know that they did. So I am pretty interested in that because I do like Temperance's. Oh, actually, Matt, back to what you said, like, you know, ratings coming back to haunt you. Clark and I used to give, what is Temperance's English IPA?
Gatecrasher.
Gatecrasher.
1 gold.
That was Clark's, like, standard for IPAs. He gave it, like, 5 stars, like, forever. And then we went back and we were, like, a little bit more realistic and, like, it still does, like, hold up. I don't know why we haven't gone back and done like a full. There is still some beer left in here. I don't know why we haven't gone back and done an actual full like temperance episode. But Gatecrasher is one that's come back to us where it's like now we'd be like, well, that's maybe like a 3.75, 4. Still a good IPA. What are we drinking, Matt?
This one is Midwest Coast off of the West Loop here. And this one is 5.8%.
Yeah, Midwest Coast is in the, like, it's not West Loop, but it's like...
We read the text. It's not a surprise anymore. It was supposed to be a surprise.
Oh, no, it wasn't. It was not a surprise anymore.
Just so everybody's know, we're celebrating Dan's birthday soon.
At Midwest Coast Brewing, which this is probably going to air afterwards.
Why? No, it's not. It's in a couple of days.
Oh.
Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, so come out.
So my first
Matt, you're invited now.
My first impression
Thrown
of
out to
this,
Clark as well.
just
I
going
did
off
text
the
Clark.
aroma, it's super yeasty. Like
I get like fresh cut lemon on the smell.
I just maybe because I had the first pour, but I was like, I got a punch in the face of some yeast.
Just real quick, the only other beer I've ever had from them is their brown ale that I fucking love.
Brown ale's amazing.
Their brown ale is...
The ESB is amazing.
I haven't had their ESB, but like brown ales, as I've said many times, is an underrated style, and it's fantastic. This beer smells not like an Oktoberfest beer. And I don't know what I'm getting.
No, and that's like I was getting some yeastiness and like maltiness, like on the front end. It's dissipating now, but the first sip I took,
I'm getting
none of
yeasty
that.
and
So I don't know when
Bready.
you guys are
Bready,
like dealing with pouring yeast into beers, brewing and stuff.
this smells like fresh yeast. Like it doesn't smell like fermenting like yeast beer.
smells like you just cracked open your yeast and threw it in your fermenter.
It smells like I'm making bread,
bread yeast,
and it's
yeah.
the yeast that it's like the
in the
dough's
bowl
now
on the,
rising.
on the
Yeah.
Could you guys describe that without saying that?
No,
Like I'm just like curious. I've never
I can't.
experienced
Yeah.
that.
You've never made fresh bread or fresh dough. Your life is terrible.
No, I have, but like
Okay, so that's
that's
what it
like the
smells
dry yeast you like.
No, that's. I mean, I'm saying it
Do you
smells
want
more
some
like
bread
baking,
that has no
like
yeast?
baking.
I have some salt rising bread.
I got like fresh cut lemon, like when you dig deep into it, which is like a lemon tea, maybe like you've been saying.
This to me is the farthest departure from a Oktoberfest beer.
To me, this is the
Smell
one.
or what?
Smell and taste.
To me, this is the one that definitely has the biggest, roundest, softest, sweetest body.
Editor's note: for those driving home, just be noted that a car has just crashed into a tree at Montrose and Cicero.
So I have to be safe. Dan has to be safe going home, and I'm avoiding that.
I will be.
This smells like I just put Red Star yeast in dough, and
Yeah.
I'm letting it rise. As far as taste goes,
Now I want to make some bread. I haven't made bread in a while.
there's a little smokiness to it that I
Yeah.
kind of get. There's a sweetness to it. I don't get Oktoberfest from this beer. Personally.
I would be kind of curious of what yeast they use because now thinking about what you keep on saying, all of those attributes remind me of English beers, and Midwest Coast does a lot of really good English beers. And
Absolutely.
Now
This is not a bad beer. Sorry,
No,
man.
no.
I didn't mean to cut you off there. What you were saying.
no, not at all. But yeah, like all of that just makes me think towards that. And if anyone, I would have thought maybe this had the Maris Otter, and yeah, it definitely reminds me of kind of a pub beer. This would be great in a cask.
Absolutely. Oh, man. Yeah. Like, this is... Okay, so I just swirled it around a little bit in my glass. Like, it's funny because you said cask, and then I swirled around my glass, and I took a sip, and I'm like, okay, now I'm getting a little bit more Oktoberfest type flavors, like breadiness. I mean, the breadiness is 100% there. But that, like... I don't know if the aroma is throwing me off. It smells like I'm about to bake something.
Yeah.
I keep smelling the lemon for some reason, but it does say that they use crafted with traditional German malts and noble hops.
I don't get. Well, I wonder what yeast they use though.
Yeah,
the yeast is
Yeah, I think the
everything else
yeast
off.
is the key here because I mean, like the malt bill, I can get, the hop profile I can get. It's the yeast that's throwing me off.
I wonder if they have a house lager yeast that lends more itself to be on the English side than anything else. Is like a clean, lager yeast. It's not bad, but it's not, to me, like, this would be just a fun, interesting, sweeter lager.
Yeah, and just based on what I'm getting from it, and me having to rate it as an Oktoberfest, I have a number in mind that.
Brandon, what, real quick, Matt, what's the ABV on this?
5.8.
Okay.
Ooh, so it's up there. It is like an Oktoberfest. Brandon, how many pretzels are you giving this one?
I'm gonna give it 3.25 because I enjoy the beer, but I do feel like it's not close to that. It doesn't nail that Oktoberfest style that I'm looking for.
All right, Dan.
It's hard. So
Remember, you're celebrating your birthday there soon.
No,
the Sunday after everybody's listening to this, and we're gonna tag them in this episode.
Yeah.
Dan probably celebrated his birthday. 19 years old. Can't even drink, so it doesn't matter. Just joking. He's 38.
Almost,
He's
don't
almost
age
40.
me.
He's almost 40.
I was gonna say I feel like I get like the tea character on this more than any of the other ones.
There is a little bit of a tea character there for me as
Yeah.
well. I'm with you on that.
I do like it, but it's not hitting like the Oktoberfest notes that I've really enjoyed in the Old Irving, the Off Color, the Bubble House.
Buckle down.
Buckle Down, but I think I still like this more than the Buckle Down.
Really?
Yeah. Just just for like a beer itself.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So cool. I don't remember what I gave that one, but for this one I'd give like a 3.75 just as like a total beer. If I was rating it for Oktoberfest exclusively, maybe like a 3.25. But I like it.
Matt, throwing it to you. How many pretzels we give this one?
Yeah, definitely a little bit lower than the last two, but I think I go back to my original statement, which all of these have been great, where I enjoy drinking all of them. So whether it's a 3.5 or a 4, they're all been within the pub drinking. That's what I love about these types of beers and sitting at a bar. Like, you can drink these, talk around friends, and I love how we keep on going back and forth on the ABV. Like 0.5% when we'll talk about Imperial Stouts. Whoa! And you're like 4% off. Here we're like 0.5%, and you're like 5 versus 5.8. Oh my god!
What? Oh my god!
So that's kind of how I feel about some of these. Like, there's some that I enjoy a little bit more than others, but just drinking Oktoberfest, and I think going back to the craft beer, I think especially as American craft breweries, especially in Chicago, it's less than 10 years. I think even us, like having our Oktoberfest last year to this year, I can tell a difference, and I feel like it's gotten better just in a single year. And I think as long as we all keep brewing and getting better, I think we're starting at a good place. So
I do want to add to that because I've been like having this like existential crisis in my mind during this, because I'm like, I love the Old Irving, I love the Off Color, I love the Bubble House. I didn't like the 2 German ones, so I'm like, do I like what real Oktoberfest is supposed to be, or do I just like the American interpretation of Oktoberfest? And I don't know.
Well, and again, and that comes into play. Like, we don't know the exact bottle dates of those beers too, so that could be part of what's screwing with your palate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, drinking those, I can honestly say I've never been in Munich like during Oktoberfest. It's on the Moldenhauer map
Yet.
But to say that, it would be like having that and like knowing what they taste fresh and then making that kind of determination. But basically what I'm saying is, who knows how old they are in the bottle or whatever effect that has. But I do feel like there's some breweries that nail that style, like that give it like a good run for the money. And in comparing to like German beers that I've had here, and I feel like there's a difference when you get it on tap versus when you get it like in a bottle. Like, I remember like going to Hofbrauhaus and like getting stuff there, R.I.P. And then, although I haven't been, it's Crust Brewing now. It's a pizza place and brewery. Have not been there yet.
I haven't either. I saw it.
But then I grew up in Lincoln Square, so we had Hooten Bar and Chicago Brauhaus, and I spent literally my childhood going to
I got really drunk in that area.
the
Just
German
drinking
Fest
German
and going
beers,
there
yeah.
and like drinking underage.
Had some really good times there.
Yeah. But that being said, I think the draft difference is like kind of where it's at. And I can taste that kind of in the bottle, going back to the bottle. And this is going back a couple years since those places have been around. But that's my little diatribe on...
I like that. That was good. Actually, everybody, like all three of you, it's hard for me to never talk. I don't know if you guys know that about me. I always love talking. But all three of you hit everything I think that I felt... Oh, Aggie is here.
And she's back.
She's back. All three of you hit what I felt about that beer. Like, Matt, I think more so like that's a good pub drinking beer. Like, Dan, for your birthday, that will be the first beer that I order. Actually, like to have on tap. Just because like we've had all these Oktoberfest beers and we also have to factor in that like our palates are like a little worn out at this point, like we're trying all these different things and all these different beers, and I would say that's probably like a 3.5 for me, as far as, or maybe 3.25 for an Oktoberfest, but I would push it up a little bit more for a beer that I would just be drinking on its own, to like not an Oktoberfest, but a 5, like almost 6% beer that was that easy drinking and tasted the way it did. I'd put that up more like a 4% beer, but definitely not like, for me, it's like an Oktoberfest. So here it is, guys, the grand finale. Something for, I think, a lot of people in Illinois and Chicago. As I talked about off mic, this beer in particular, when did you hit your tooth? Okay, I'm just making sure it wasn't your tooth for the third time.
My wedding.
Brandon and I used to go to the Great Lakes Brew Fest often up in Racine, and now it's in Kenosha, I think.
I think it's back in Racine this year.
No, it's not.
It's back in Racine, but not at the...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. Anyways, so
maybe,
it's like around Brandon's birthday, which is the middle of September, week after Dan, that having New Glarus Staghorn, which is their Oktoberfest, to me that's the beginning of Oktoberfest, because it is literally like a week before Oktoberfest starts, or like the same week that Oktoberfest starts in Germany. So it's the first time that I actually like have an Oktoberfest beer for the most part. So here it is. Everybody, have you guys all had this before? Brandon,
yes.
Brandon has now brought Aggie to the... Have you had... I know you've had this before.
Have I?
Staghorn? You have. For sure have had Staghorn. Wait. I hope you've had Staghorn from all the times you've been to... Oh, now he's like Claw from Inspector Gadget. Brandon has now brought Aggie to the forefront here. Let's give it a sip. Let's give it a try.
Yeah, what's really interesting, and for me, this growing up in Wisconsin, fond memories of this.
What?
This is definitely the cleanest.
Hold on. Matt, maybe you've talked about this before. You grew up in Wisconsin?
Yeah, in Kenosha.
All right, this interview is over. Thanks for coming by. I maybe you've mentioned that, but I think I forgot about that. Sorry, continue.
I mean, they have Beer, Bacon, and Cheese Fest.
Yeah, it makes sense why you're here.
Though I did know about that festival in Kenosha.
It used to be in Racine. It was a lot of
It used to be at the Racine Zoo.
I used to go to that zoo a lot growing up. But the nose on this one is definitely the cleanest. For me, this is the one that, like, other ones have like lingering sweetness or malt or biscuit. This one, you just get like a single crisp note. And even the clarity, if you look at all of these, just that really clear golden hue on this one.
This might be the best color, my favorite color, like as far as all the beers, and like when you go to color and clarity, this is Staghorn from
Beers. And I'm nostalgic, and as you said, like we might have a little bit of palate fatigue, but for me this is really light and crisp, and one that you could easily have in a liter stein.
At the end all,
100%.
be all, at the end of the day, like this is that you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Dan is showing me the check-ins. So Dan also, real quick, Dan showed me my check-in from 2014 when I was like 3. That's when I was being like more realistic instead of being like beers that I really like, I give like 4s. This is probably now, like, as far as style goes, and I'm throwing this out here right now, this is like a 4.7.
Best Oktoberfest I've ever had. 3 stars.
3 stars. See, there you go. But that was around the time where I was like fucking like double IPAs. I'm fucking drinking Hop Stupid in the fucking 20-ounce bottles for $4. Fucking rules. That's where I was at that time.
I don't think I ever talked like that. Thank God.
That is how I talked at that time. Spoke at that time. This is like a quintessential, like I said, this beer to me is the beginning of Oktoberfest. Going to Great Lakes Brewfest, and like this hits everything really nice. Like it's almost perfect.
And Brandon has checked this in 2017. He gave it a 4 in the comment. Late check-in.
Yeah, that was after the Brewfest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were checking in those beers, going to the hotel probably.
Yeah. And I gave it a 4 3 different times.
Consistent.
Good for Matt. Good for Dan.
I probably just left it.
Oh, good for Matt too, because he's from Kenosha apparently.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I like Untapped, because it's really good for consumers to go back and see things and see how.
I love going back and seeing like certain beers where I'm like, how the fuck did I check that in so low, or how the fuck did I check that in so high? I mean, like, this is actually where I'm at. It's actually been more of things where I've like bumped it up than bumping down.
But it's still like, if you look at Staghorn, I think I like at least seeing where everyone is and around, and Untapped has it rated as like a 3.7. Mm-hmm. I think, especially for the style, it's pretty spot on. It's classic, and
it should be damn near perfect as far as rating.
But it's the same thing. You look at ESBs, and you look at like perfect style ESBs, like every style guide like gives, and people who win gold medals, and Untapped is 3-star. Yeah. And you get it. We've got it all the time. This is a perfect West Coast IPA. I don't like West Coast. 2 stars. Yeah. Like dagger to the heart.
Yeah. Perfect example that I hate. This though does, I feel like with, and I am going to speak for all of us, because then you guys can go ahead and correct me. I feel like this encompasses everything from the first beer, Old Irving, all the way to now. Like, or what was the last one we had?
Midwest Coast.
Thank you, Midwest Coast. I was going to say West Coast. From Midwest Coast to Old Irving, so all those beers up until now, this I feel like encompasses everything that we're looking for, everything that we like, and everything that we really enjoy. What's the ABV on this? That'll seal the deal for us. Here we go. I don't know if they put their ABVs on the can.
No, when we were in Wisconsin, we were drinking a bunch of these, and that was the annoying thing to me. I could not
to put it on there?
No, dude. All the top like 50 counties,
it's not on.
as far as
6.25.
Yeah,
on one website, you can go to another, and it
Untapped.
I know.
Yeah,
and
remember
if you
when
go to
I was
rate beer, it's different.
Remember when I was drinking the Mocha Berry and I couldn't find the fucking ABV from New Glarus?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even on their site, wasn't on Untapped. Anyways, the top like 50 counties in the United States are all in like alcohol consumption is in Wisconsin. Sorry.
Oh, so you saw the same Instagram post as me?
Yeah, actually I saw it on TikTok.
I sent it to my wife.
I saw it on TikTok today. I think that this beer kind of like is the best way to end this episode as far as like Oktoberfest beers go. Like, this might be, no matter how we all individually feel about certain beers that we had, this might be like the one. Like, we can all agree it hits everything, right?
I'll agree with that.
I don't know. I give it a consistent 4, but I don't know. It's me, Dan. I'm from Tampa. We don't do Oktoberfest. We just fucking... I have nothing to say, sorry, man.
Yeah. No, I was going to say that I feel like this is a better version of the German ones we had. Like, it reminds me more of the German ones we had than, like the Old Irving or the Waddle or the Bubble House. But I feel like I definitely enjoy them more than the 2 German versions.
I can see that.
Okay.
I think for myself personally, I still enjoy like the Old Irving, the Waddle, and the Bubble House more. But I'd like that one a lot still.
Yeah, it's your last episode, so nobody cares. No, I think that's fair. I do think that's fair. I think that is a good way of explaining it as well. Like, I think that this is up there with all the other. I do think that the German beers do we not like do we just not really like German style beers? Are these beers old?
The Anger is still great to me.
The Anger to me was also very
that.
good, but like how is Hacker Shore also like just not? How did that taste?
That's the reason I said what I said is because I wonder if that is more what the style should be, or whatever, you know?
Maybe
because New Glarus, you always think of like hitting things on the head for whatever style it's supposed to be. So that's why I'm wondering if like maybe those German ones are like more what the style is supposed to be.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, you have what it's supposed to be, but also take into consideration like how often we talk about draft or bottle conditions, and it has to go overseas and then be stored in a warehouse and then be on a truck and then get to a store. It's not cold
coming overseas, by the way. It's like warm for a while.
You're on the ship? That's impressive.
I've been on there, man. Trust me. I do freight. There's a lot of freight for me. So trust me, it's not cold on those ships.
Yes, I mean, it's one of those really hard things, especially I've yet to ever have a true Guinness, and every time someone goes to Ireland and Dublin, and they're like, it's so much different, you don't even know, they don't pasteurize it, and you're like, I don't. Like, all I have is what we have. And
I like what we have, and I feel like when I go, I don't see me not enjoying it.
I would say that one of the big keys, go try some Anger on draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like the same thing with, like, if somebody had, like, Hacker Shore Oktoberfest on draft, like, it's not going to taste like,
so,
it's not going to smell and taste like.
What we need to check is a couple of bars. Hansa Clipper in Lincoln Square, or there's two Lachette's, and then there's another one like right down the street from Lachette's.
All right, so what are we doing as this episode comes out? What are we doing this week coming up? We have to choose one night where we have to go and see what these bars have. If the four of us are all available, great, but it might just be me and Brandon. We should go and try and find out. And just like everything else that I say, it's probably not going to happen. But we've got good intentions, baby. We've got good intentions.
It'll all be fest beers.
Dan's probably right. Well, guys, so Staghorn. How many pretzels, Brandon?
I did 4 before, and I think I'm gonna stick between 4 and 4.25.
Okay. Dan?
Stick with 4.
And Matt?
4.25. I think this is probably one of my favorites. Though I'm getting a little bit of almost like cherry soda sweetness. Like,
ooh, here it comes.
It's a real nice finish.
Oh, but he likes it. Okay. I'm going to go a 4.4 pretzels on this. This is, I'll put there up, like, honestly, all the, like you were saying, Dan, I don't know if it's because it's bottled or because it's not on draft. All the local ones I'm more interested in, but I also feel like the New Glarus one is on that same level as everything else that we enjoyed that was not imported. So overall, I gotta say, not a bad showing for Oktoberfest beers. I look forward to next year's now. I mean, there were so many Oktoberfest beers that were available. Great Lakes Oktoberfest I didn't get. Lagertown from Half Acre, which that was my first one that I grabbed this year. That was super excited. Revolution's Oktoberfest. Does Maplewood do an Oktoberfest beer?
They do a fest beer.
Fest beer, okay.
They do a fest beer. Really nice, super crisp and light. But yeah, I mean, it's even, especially because of how many people locally are doing it. I remember one of my favorites for years was one of, like, Left Hand. You know, obviously known for their milk stuff, but their Oktoberfest was great.
So, like, I mean, next year we could even just expand it more to, like, fest beers, Oktoberfest beers in general. Dovetail has a fest beer, so.
Yeah, I was just looking. So Beer Temple posted today, and I was like, oh, snap. So, like, there's, like, a fest beer from Henstefaner.
Oh, okay.
There's a Chugtoberfest from Mars, which is probably a fest beer. Probably. They have the Rothaus.
Is it like an imperial?
It does. I can't tell.
Like, was Mars like an imperial adjunct Oktoberfest beer?
Well, the fact that it's Chugtoberfest. I mean, I'm not looking. I'm looking on just the picture.
It was
I'm
like
guessing it's
12% in barrel aged as well.
I will look. So Spiteful Oktoberfest, Dovetail Fest beer.
Have you guys had much of
I was joking about Mars.
Rothaus?
No,
I've had I've had the Oktoberfest, the regular whatever they normally get. And I've had one other one that had a silver foil on top.
Yeah, they're normal pails.
Yeah.
Really cool brewery. Really like them. They're owned by the German, like a city in Germany. They're a government-owned brewery.
Whoa.
Well, shit, we should. No, Matt, you got to come back for that one then. Well, the other thing is that if I can find the Founders Ultimate Oktoberfest, which is a bourbon barrel-aged Marzen, 10%. So if we can find that, then Matt, you got to come back for that one for sure.
Sounds like after the final pour.
It's true. He's not wrong. This guy clearly listens to these shows. This might be a night where we don't do an after the final pour. Matt, thanks for coming back on, and thanks for actually coming on as just being like yourself. Thanks, Dan, for leaning back. Jesus Christ. Just coming on as you. We appreciate it. We've wanted to do this for a while, so thanks for bringing all these beers. We look forward to having you back. I would say the next time you're coming back is going to be the 100th episode, because I'm really trying to make it where everybody who's been on can come back, but we'll see.
Sounds like a pretty epic episode.
Absolutely. Other than that, we're coming for you for Krampus. Just know that.
Yeah.
I still wanted to do a whole summer lager one with you guys, but we'll have to wait till next summer probably for that.
Yeah, lagers are nice because
Lagers.
we have our dark Bakken tanks right now.
Oh
And
shit! Wait, so we can still do a lager episode with you guys?
we have a rotating lager tank year round now.
I can't wait to have you and Joe from Dry Hop Corridor and Trust by Giants on at the same time. To have the two operations marketing dudes on at the same time, and then you guys are just gonna sell us the beers. Like you guys should battle out as a mystery beer episode. That would be good.
Yeah,
It'd be fun for me.
Did you ever have our collab back in the day? The Crushed by Giants collab we did with them.
Absolutely not.
It was. I actually never got to have it myself, but it's one of my favorite labels. If you go look on our cooler door, they're little hops, and then our graphic designer put little arms on all the hops.
That's awesome.
That's pretty great. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us, man. We
thanks,
do
Matt.
appreciate it.
Thanks for
listening
having me.
too, as well. So we'll look forward to bringing you back. Dan, as much as I was physical with you, I pushed you back, called you out on a whole bunch of stuff.
That's what we do.
I still really do like you though.
Ah, man, feels good.
I was expecting you to be like, you like me too.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Anyways, Brandon. It's actually Aggie who's here. Cat is hi Aggie. We love you. Brandon, I love you, buddy.
Love you too, bud.
And thanks guys for listening. Happy Oktoberfest. Go ahead and try some of these beers.
Prost.
And go to Old Irving.
Bye.
This has been The Malting Hour. Be sure to follow us on all social media by searching The Malting Hour and at themaltinghour.com. You can also follow us individually on social media. Brandon can be found on Instagram as BMDub81, on Twitter, BDub81, and on Untapped as BDubDrinksBeer. Tony can be found on Instagram and Untapped under Ace of Help Chicago, on Twitter, The Ace of Help Chicago. Clark can be found as Clarkowski on all three. Dan can be found on Instagram as hip__hops and hip hops on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, like, and rate the show on your preferred podcast listening platform. Until next time, cheers from all of us at The Malting Hour.